Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the 5 greatest Brahms pianists. Oh, this is a tricky one, isn't it? Brahms is tricky. He's generally tricky. His piano writing is tricky. Ask any pianist, they'll tell you. You know, if Brahms has an option between doing something the easy way or the awkward way, he usually picked the awkward way. He wanted his music to be a struggle, difficult, for there to be some element of it's interesting. Maybe it's because he was such a perfectionist. His music is so polished. His scores are so neatly written. His publications were immaculately proofread. So in order for there to be a sense of struggle, of passion, of, expressive adventure in his music, he often made the actual writing deliberately difficult. And you don't really hear it. You don't hear it in the playing as such. You should hear it in the expression. It's a very difficult quality to summarize. Let me put it to you that way. Maybe some of you can describe it better, those of you who are active pianists and who know what I'm talking about. But there are some pianists who have been remarkable in performing Brahms. And of course, the first among equals, the primus inter pares, I suppose, is Julius Katchen. Katchen did the complete piano works, plus quite a bit of chamber music. And we're not just talking about people who did piano music, solo piano music. Of course, they have to do solo piano music. But there isn't really tons of that, and there's much more chamber music with piano that's very rewarding, and we all love it, and it's interesting to play, and it's also difficult, and then the piano concertos. So that's Brahms, and the pianists that I'm talking about, generally speaking, did a good bit of all of those things. So Julius Katchen did a good bit of chamber music. He really did, with Joseph Suk particularly. It was just wonderful. But he also was remarkable in doing one of the first sets ever, I think, of the complete piano works. And it was and remains a reference version in that music. And of course, he did the piano concertos too and all that stuff. He was a beast technically. He really was. But it was interesting in that he really took to Brahms extremely well. He was able to surmount the challenges that the music offered without ever having, us get the sense that he was struggling. And boy, oh boy, is that a fun set to listen to. So that's Katchen. Number 2, Nelson Freire. Freire didn't live to record, unfortunately, as much Brahms as I might have hoped, but there are, first of all, fabulous versions of the 2 piano concertos with Ricardo Chailly. I mean, that is absolute, to my ears, it's the modern reference. They're stunning performances of the 2 piano concertos. And then there's a smattering, a healthy smattering, actually, of solo piano works, which he plays with sovereign command. He was such a smart pianist. And also another pianist who was not a flashy pianist. Brahms works best with pianists who are extraordinary virtuosos, but who are humble about it, who are somewhat self-effacing, who don't make a point of display, because Brahms doesn't give you much chance to make a point of display, however difficult the music may be. And in his Paganini variations, music is as difficult as any piano music written in the 19th century, practically. It's very, very difficult. But he doesn't want that to be the object of musical expression. So, pianists who know how to do that, and Freire was definitely one of them, can be virtuosos, but virtuosos who don't wear their virtuosity on their sleeves. Next, of course, Artur Rubinstein. Hands down. I mean, people don't think about him as much with Brahms. Here is his Brahms box on RCA, and this is just like the stereo stuff. And it's 9 CDs already. I mean, he did the piano concertos, of course. He did a good chunk of solo piano works, and he did virtually all of the chamber music for piano and strings. He did the cello sonatas with Piatigorsky. He did the violin sonatas with Henrik Schering. He did the piano trios with Schering and Fournier. He did the piano quartets with the Guarneri String Quartet. It's an amazing legacy of superb Brahms playing. And it amazes me that it gets so little attention. It really does. I don't understand it. I do not, but there you go. Back in its place there, near and dear to my heart. I think Brahms was Rubinstein's favorite composer, actually, when he was asked. And he was a wonderful, wonderful composer for Rubinstein, the person, as well, because Rubinstein was such a bon vivant, you know. I mean, he was sort of larger than life, and he liked good cigars and beautiful women, and Brahms, you know, Brahms also liked a good cigar and beautiful women, at least the most beautiful he could afford, and you know, there's that sense of fulfillment in Rubinstein's Brahms that I think is very much part of the music. So Rubinstein's definitely on the list. Jonathan Plowright, among recent pianists. Here is his complete Brahms cycle on Bis. You really should hear it if you haven't. It's pretty stupendous. It really is. He stunned the musical world in Brahms with the first two releases in this cycle, which had featured the second piano sonata and the third piano sonata, along with the Handel variations, which is another very difficult work, by the way. Really, really outstanding, sensitive, brilliant piano playing that, again, never draws attention to itself as such, but is so full of light and shade and smart phrasing. And I loved hearing in the later volumes the Paganini variations, books 1 and 2, this is a beautiful disc, the fourth disc. It's got the Opus 10 ballades, the 2 Rhapsodies, Opus 79, the Opus 119 piano pieces, and bookended by the 2 books of the Paganini variations, which is a wonderful way to hear them. It really is. It's just everything about this guy is just really, really intelligent and full of taste and culture and effortless virtuosity. It's great stuff and fabulously well recorded. And last but not least, certainly, Emil Gilels. I mean, Gilels, as we know, did that stunning series of the 2 piano concertos with Eugen Joachim, was one of the great Brahms conductors in the history of the universe. And they've held up very well over the years. And he did a selection of shorter works and some chamber music as well. Gilels is one of those pianists who was very sober, very serious. He tended to dwell in Richter's shadow as often as not. But I think that in the German repertoire particularly, he was, if anything, more commanding. He just had the combination of, brains and brawn, passion and virtuosity that Brahms really asks for. And I think his Brahms is very, very special. So that's my list of the 5 greatest Brahms pianists. You may have your own selections. I suspect that you do. And feel free to contribute them. I would love to see your lists. It should be a lot of fun. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.